Welcome back to another video on Out of the Park 24 Detroit Tigers Sim. We are now at the beginning of the off-season after the 2025 season. We'll quickly review the 2025 season, or 2025 season in terms of how the postseason went and the awards, and then we'll get into our off-season plan and how we're going to attack free agency, trades, review a couple trades we've made already, etc. You can see here, of course, as you remember, we got knocked out in the ALDS by the Yankees. The Yankees then went on to lose to the Astros. The Astros then went on to lose to the Dodgers. The Dodgers have made the World Series all 3 seasons in this sim, and they've won 2 straight World Series. So congrats, Los Angeles. Hopefully you are dethroned by the Detroit Tigers next season, but we'll get to that. Let's take a look at some of the awards. The Tigers, the best team in baseball in the regular season with their 102 wins, did take home some hardware this year. So let's go ahead and look at some of the big ones. Manager of the Year, Bill Prescott. The rookie manager we hired comes in and wins Manager of the Year and manages the team to the best record in baseball. What an astute hiring by the Detroit front office. Wow. Why did it take me there? Come on. I was on the league news and I hit back. Not where we wanted to go there. So let's see. What else? Best AL pitcher, also known as the Cy Young Award. Alek Manoah took it home. Manoah, what did he do? 5.1 WAR, 6.3 R WAR. That's driving me crazy that when I click on a guy, it just takes me back. What do you guys think about that? Because I don't like it. Anyways, I'm gonna stop hitting that button out of habit here. So you can see Jalen Beeks also got some votes. I'm a little surprised that Kevin Gossman only got 8 first place votes or 8 second place votes, considering he led the league in games started, WAR, FIP minus. He won 17 games. Learned my lesson there. Oh, even when I go back from there, this is really bugging me out. I don't think it normally does that. Anyways, let's see if I can get back on track here. Jung-Hoo Lee wins AL Rookie of the Year. Mason Auer gets second place with a bunch of second place votes. Lee took all 30 first place votes. And then Jackson Jobe also on the board here. So 3 Tigers rookies getting votes. NL Rookie of the Year, Luis Medina of the Nationals. NL Cy Young was Brandon Woodruff. Number 2 was Corbin Burns. Shohei Ohtani getting some votes. Paul Skeens, the young Pirates pitcher who was drafted first overall in our 2023 draft. MVP awards. We have Adley Rutschman taking it home. If Riley Green was going to lose to somebody, I'm glad it was a Baltimore Oriole. Green got 3 first place votes, finished second. Malloy came in 4th place. Jung-Hoo Lee in 6th place. Any other Tigers? No other Tigers. But yeah, Gunnar Henderson on there. Shout out to the Baltimore Orioles again. So yeah, that's some good stuff for the Tigers, I think. On the NL side of things, two-way player Shohei Ohtani, who put up 7 WAR as a pitcher and only 1 WAR as a hitter. But he gets the 27 of the first place votes and wins the MVP. Jordan Walker, Matt Olson, Juan Soto, Trey Turner round out the top 5. So those are the major awards. Let's go ahead and get into some of the things that the Tigers have done so far in the off-season. We'll go to the transaction log, and then we'll get into the team and how we're approaching free agency. So we'll go ahead and show you the trades. So basically, a lot of these trades are guys who basically like Matt Manning, right? Like he's out of options, and he was on my 40-man, and I didn't see a clear role for him next year, so I'm not going to pay a guy $3.2 million when I don't even see him really being part of my 26-man roster next year, and he's out of options. If he had options, I'd consider bringing him back. He had a really good year in AAA, but he just hasn't established himself as a starter in the majors since his poor 2024. He started 2023. He was solid for us, but then really went downhill. But certainly, I think you can still see a decent major league pitcher here. We threw in Joel Baez, who is a minor leaguer who doesn't seem that much value, and we got 25-year-old minor leaguer AJ Blueball. It's B-A-W, okay, guys? That's how you pronounce it, not B-A-L-L. So, grow up. So AJ Blueball here. He was a real-life 7th-round pick of the Astros in 2022. And I think he could pitch in AAA for us. So essentially, in place of Manning, we're getting a guy who I think, he is younger, and I think just shows just as much promise as like a depth AAA player, and could even become better than that. And he has option years, right? He's going to have to go on the 40-man here. More than likely, we'll put him on the 40-man to protect him from the Rule 5. But he has option years, and that's why he's an upgrade over Manning. He'll also make the league minimum, so that saves us a few $1 million. So that's kind of the theme here in these trades that we made. We also traded minor league shortstop Ryan Kreidler, who was a major league shortstop for us at times in this sim, and was really good AAA player, a quad A player here, 4.3 WAR last year in AAA. So he's going to Atlanta. He's going to Atlanta with Mendez, who is not somebody we're too worried about losing, and we got 23-year-old minor league left-hander Hunter Elliott. Elliott is just 23. He's pitched in Double-A last year to pretty decent numbers and looks like a decent minor league pitcher who I think can pitch in Triple-A for us and is a young arm who could perhaps come up to the majors at some point, kind of like a fringe 26-man, one of those guys who will be depth on the 40-man roster if we run into a lot of injuries. We also then traded Yuji Rosario, who has been something of a utility player up and down between the majors and AAA for us the last couple of years since we got him from the Padres early in the sim. He can play all over the field. But we traded him, and we brought in Mac Horvath, who is 24, so he's not like super young anymore. But he's hit pitching everywhere since he was drafted. He was drafted in the 3rd round, 73rd overall. And he will come in and be a captain in our AAA team. This is another dude who I think could make some noise on our 26-man roster at some point. And like that, he's a righty back because we have a couple good infield type dudes who are lefty bats. So Horvath will be a good opposite to them, a good counter to them. And I know you probably saw some other signings here you want to see. We'll get into all that. A lot of it was just avoiding arbitration with dudes. So I really think that the team that comes back is the starters are going to be similar. We're going to have Dingler and our second base. I brought McKinstry back, but I don't think he's going to make this team. I brought him back because I didn't want to lose him for nothing. There is trade interest. I didn't want to... Sorry, something just fell in the background. Distracting. I didn't want to lose him for nothing, and I wasn't ready to pull the trigger on trades yet. So maybe we'll get stuck eating his salary. I don't know, but he made the All-Star team and put up 3.4 WAR the first 2 years and then just fell off a cliff last year. He could bounce back. He certainly could bounce back, but I think I'd like to make a move at second base to maybe get a player that I trust a bit more, and also a righty bat because we have some backup infield options who are lefties. Not that they're like great second base options, though. Malloy obviously back, Kevin Made back, Green, Meadows, Lee, Castellanos back. The bench will get interesting. We have so many young players who could hop in here. Isaac Pacheco is one. This is we're on OSA. This is a guy who our scout thinks is really good, or could be really good here. We've also got some guys in AAA who will battle for the last positions. Luke Leto, who was our 6th-round pick in 2023, is now the 33rd best prospect in baseball after dominating across AA and AAA last year. A potential power bat here who could play first or third. We'll get him some outfield experience too, so he can play left and right field. I think he's got an inside track on a job next year on the team, and then we'll just see how much playing time he pushes for with his performance. Some other guys. Dickey here, our 2024 3rd-round pick, was good in AAA last year. We've got a couple guys in AA who will push for roster spots soon. One being Jack Hurley, our 2023 4th-round pick. He was really good in AA last year. I just didn't have room for him in AAA. Towards the end of the year, I would have liked to have promoted him. So we've got a bunch of guys pushing. Carter Trice is pushing for a roster spot eventually. He'll be in AAA next year. So I think those guys plus a bunch of others will kind of battle for the bench spots. I don't see necessarily bringing in a hitter other than a second baseman in free agency. Now that could change. Oh, and a backup catcher too. That could change if an opportunity presents itself to make the club better, right? But I don't necessarily see being aggressive for other pieces of the offense. Pitching side of things, Alcantara, Gossman, Dolander, and Job will be the 4 starters. Zach Thompson has the inside track on the 5th starter role. You can see if we change him to a starting pitcher, his stuff plays down a bit, but he was really good in 91 innings last year. We, of course, got him in the Baez trade. He's 28. He's a lefty. He's a captain. He's got the inside track on the 5th starter job. I think his main competition will be Ryan Wentz, who is like just outside the top 100 prospects. 19th round pick from 2024, who has just come out of nowhere last year. Just sudden, he was kind of okay. Did he have an injury? No, he was just kind of like okay and didn't even pitch that much in 2020. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking it was 2023. 2024, he went rookie A and then struggled in high, and then all of a sudden, he must have gone to Driveline in the offseason, because all of a sudden he came in 2025. He went from like a 40 overall to a 65. Has flashed the potential to be a top of the rotation starter. He's still only throwing 88 to 90, but man, the results are there. I think ideally he will be our long man in the bullpen. We've got some other guys. Wilmer Flores is a top like 50, 60 prospect who just he had a good 2024 for us, and then just really struggled in 2025. I don't think we're ready to give up on him. Although, if we could bring in a second baseman for him or something, I think he's a decent trade chip. And we've got other interesting arms down here. Brant Herter still has options left. He'll be on the team. He's 27 now, but he put up 3.4 WAR in AAA last year. Bullpen side of things in Detroit, we did re-sign Devin Williams. We re-signed him to a 3-year deal worth $9.5 million per year. I really didn't want to give him the 3rd year because our team is getting expensive fast with some of the arbitration guys who are becoming arbitration eligible, and we'll talk in a bit about trying to extend some of those guys and the long-term extensions that a guy like Malloy wants. So I was really trying to limit it to 2 years. Wasn't able to do so, but I was able to bring the AAV down to just 9.5. So that's really nice. I mean, when we acquired him, he was wanting like a $15 million deal. And then when we opened talks with him, I think he's wanting like 5 years, around $12 million per year. Got him down to this. It's basically a 3-year, $28.5 million deal. Maybe he'll opt out there if he's still playing well, but he's looking to bounce back from his postseason failures. Beeks and Abreu will be back. I don't feel great about the season Abreu had results-wise, but his peripherals were much better, so he'll be in our setup role again. We'll then have Lang, Vasquez. They'll be back. Lang is just cheap enough. He's only making $2.1 million, even though he's not like the back end of the bullpen arm. He's a reliable arm at a very reasonable price. Same with Vasquez. I think Alex Cobb will probably be back. But, I'm not totally sure of that. So if Thompson goes in the rotation, these are the 6 guys. We then will call, Wentz will be on the team, and then we'll have all these other guys, DeOka, DeJesus, etc., who have been up and down. We'll battle for the last bullpen spot. I don't see necessarily bringing in another bullpen arm, although if there's a really good value out there, I could maybe bring in a bullpen arm to bump everybody down a spot. But I think that'll be something I'll more look for like in the preseason or something when guys who haven't been signed and their demands have dropped. I could see bringing somebody in for that. Let me show you some trades we've put out there. I threw some feeler trades out there. I think we haven't gotten a response yet. So pending. Yeah, submitted. I did go to the Orioles to see, could you please send us Gunnar Henderson to be our second baseman? That would be great. Thank you. Even though Gunner's not really a second baseman. I mean, we put in Pacheco, Torque, Herter, and Pellegrin, and they were like, get completely out of here with that. So I think we'd have to give up like our whole team. So we're gonna abandon that. I think. I don't think we're gonna get Gunner, even though I really wanted to. We are exploring a deal with the New York Mets for Gleyber Torres. Torres, he has 2 years and $7.4 million left. He's 29, or he'll be 29 in a few days. Happy birthday. He's coming off a bit of a down year with the Mets. I don't love the fit here, but he was really good in 2024. He was terrible in 2023. He's a righty bat who can play a decent second base defensively, and his contract isn't horrendous in that like we'd be stuck with it for a lot of years and a lot of dollars. Again, I don't think he's a perfect fit, but I tried other bigger trades at the start of the offseason for guys like Gunner, and there's just because we have some decent guys to trade like Torque, McKinstry, Flores. I would trade Pellegrin, Pacheco, I would trade some of these guys if the price was right. And I think we have a lot of really good trade chips, but it didn't seem like we were going to be able to bring in a star second baseman. Maybe we still will, but we threw this deal out there to the Mets. We'll see how that goes. we also threw this deal out there to the Phillies. This would be giving up Torque, which is a pretty big decision to make. And why am I keeping him over Castellanos? Castellanos is still just a season removed from being fourth in MVP voting. He had a terrible year, but basically Torque has trade value, and Castellanos, coming off the year he did with the money he makes, doesn't really have much trade value. So that's why I'm keeping Castellanos on the team around instead of Torque. So Cody Schreier, who the Phillies picked 130th overall in 2023 and looks like a potentially good infield prospect and has hit the crap out of the ball in the minor leagues. So we'll see what they say about that. I would take that because it would give us, he would basically become our top second base prospect, I think, unless I'm forgetting about somebody. I mean, we've got really young guys like Lombard, Campos here. So we don't have a lot of, I guess you could say, second base talent close to the major leagues and ready to come up. So I think Cosma is a guy who will get some experience at second base. But anyways, so that's kind of like the basic gist of what we're looking for. A second baseman, probably via trade because there's really not a good free agent fit out there. A backup catcher, and then maybe a reliever. I think a blockbuster trade for a second baseman is about the most exciting thing we might do this offseason, but it just hasn't developed yet. We'll keep an eye on it. We've got the deal for Gleber out there. We've got the deal for Schreier out there. But let's take a look at kind of like the core of the team and how we're going to build around, or who we're going to build around, and who we're going to try to sign to long-term deals. Okay, so we're at the part in the sim where I think need to start deciding like what players we're going to build around long-term, who we're going to sign long-term. Jung-Hoo Lee, obviously, we committed the long-term deal to him, so he's around for another 6 seasons, right, through 2031. So he's is he a franchise player? Is he part of the core? You know, you can decide what to call him, but he's here for a while. Riley Green had a breakout campaign, finished second in MVP voting. He's 25 now. He was coming off 2 years where he didn't do much of anything. He got $6 million in his first year of arbitration because of that. He's not really interested in signing a long-term deal at this point. I think that the high greed probably has a lot to do with that, although the high loyalty with the high greed is interesting. But we've got him for 2 more years, $12.9 million, $21.4 million are the arbitration estimates. I'd love to keep Riley Green around if he keeps playing it like an MVP candidate. He doesn't want to sign long-term at this point. So I generally don't force guys into like a long-term contract if they're not looking for it. I generally will only offer it if they're looking for it, just as a way to like keep myself from, I guess, locking up everybody. Not that Green would necessarily be interested in it, but we'll see. You know, if he puts another MVP caliber season, we're probably looking at buying out some of these free agent years at like $30 million per year. So we'll see. Left-handed hitting outfielders, you can find them, but you can't find MVP level ones all that easily. Generally, there's only one MVP per year, so finding MVP level players is difficult. I'd like to keep Riley Green around long term, but we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. Next, let's look at another major piece. Chase Dolander, 24 years old now. He's at league minimum this year, being the 2026 season, and 2027. So we've got 2 more years of that, and then 3 years of arbitration where he's supposed to go 8-8, 14-8, 18-2. He is open to a long-term deal. It would be a 10-year deal worth $172 million. We would buy out his free agent years at 21.6 for 3 of them, and then he'd have an opt-out where he could opt out for the last 2 years, where he would make $19.4 million per year. I'm not really in the business of giving pitchers 10-year deals. I think this is a totally reasonable ask by Dolander. But it's just, $17 million AAV is not bad for buying out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 free agent years, his arbitration years. We're just not going to do it right now. I think there's too much risk with pitchers. He only has a year and 80 days of Major League service time. I hope that I keep him around for a while, and if I play this game of like letting him get closer to free agency before I make a decision, I'll probably be paying more than this $21.6 million per year. But I'm just not willing to take this risk with a pitcher. It's going to be hitters that I extend, I think, long term at this point. Jackson Jobe, similar. Look at 9. You can see why my team's getting so expensive because I didn't really stagger my service time very well. So he's going 9-4, 13-4, 16-3, and I don't think that he's open to a long-term deal yet. He is not. Kevin Made. We've got him this year and next at league minimum. Then he goes 4.47, 8.5. I think for a guy who could win Gold Gloves and be a league average-ish hitter, that's a really reasonable price. So we did put out a long-term deal to Kevin Made. 7 years, $45 million. So for 7 years, $45 million, we would buy out a league min season, and then 3 arbitration years, and then 3 free agent years. So, I don't think Made is necessarily like a superstar player. So we got him at a really reasonable AAV of just over $6 million to get him for 7 years. We'll see if he accepts it, but I think it's a fair deal. I will say, and I mentioned this in other videos, I generally my policy is I don't extend players long term until they're arbitration eligible. So like normally I wouldn't make that offer to Made until his next season was arbitration eligible. Like Malloy here, he's arbitration eligible next year. Meadows arbitration eligible. So that's normally I wait to extend guys just because the long-term extensions you could get on players were generally not all that realistic. But I actually think that they've made improvements with that in the game this year, or maybe it was last year. I don't know, because like Justin Henry Malloy is interested in a long-term deal, and it's extremely fair. Now, this is different than the deal he was originally looking for. He was looking for an 11-year deal at around 27, 28 million when we started negotiating. I've got him down to he's looking at an 8-year deal worth $209 million. His free agent years would be 32.8 per year. I think that's reasonable for, if salaries go up, I think I've got inflation on like 0 to 1%, and he continues to perform at a high level, his free agent years will be obviously better than this. But he has a season and a half in the major leagues and is asking for $32.8 million for his free agent years. This did not used to be the case in Out of the Park. You could get guys for much cheaper on long-term deals if you locked them up early. I think this is a reasonable ask. I think this is a realistic ask. I don't really know that it's saving me money, right? Because, he's going to be arbitration eligible next year. And 5, 6, 14. Now, these could go up. You could see he's into the 20s by his 3rd and 4th years of arbitration because he's probably going to be a Super 2 player, I suppose. And you'd see this doesn't really save me a lot of money. Free agent years don't necessarily save me a lot of money. The advantage is, though, that we've got Malloy locked up long term for fair value for both sides, I think. So I would expect a Malloy extension this offseason. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. This was his counter to me after I offered him after I offered him a deal similar. Like he wanted 11 years. I was like, how about 8? He eventually came down to 8. So yeah, I don't know. So but here it says an 8-year major league contract with an annual salary totaling $209 million. Here he says, if you want to lock me up long term, 193.7 would probably get it done for $30 million per year. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't totally understand the apply long-term demand thing. I haven't looked into it this year. I'm sure you guys will let me know how it works, but it's just confusing to me how there are 2 different totals here. But anyways, let's not get sidetracked here. I think we're going to extend him this season, and he's going to be a long-term fixture on our team. Obviously, he should be. He's probably going to be a perennial MVP candidate. Parker Meadows is an interesting case. You can see he was looking kind of like a glove first guy who was decent with the bat, and then last year he broke out. Now his walks were up from the year before. Strikeouts were up too, but they were down from his first year. And now he's looking at 3 years of arbitration at 4.4, 10.5, 17. That seems really expensive to me for a guy that has had one really good year. But is that a pattern? Like, is he going to be able to keep that up? His estimates could go way down if he starts this year poorly. So we're going to hold off on Parker Meadows. I'd like to keep him around for several more seasons, but I'm not convinced he's this 4.5 WAR player. So that's why I'm not going to jump at locking him up. And he also doesn't want a long-term deal, but I'm also not going to lock him in at 4.4 because I think this could go down if he starts next season poorly. So we have the offer out to Made. We're going to continue to negotiate with Malloy. I guess another guy here is Dylan Dingler. What do we want to do with him? His arbitration estimates are pretty nuts right now. I mean, I'm not giving him a 9-year, $139 million deal. I just don't think he's that good of a player. I think the 88 WRC plus with 2.2 WAR is good, and we'll take that from him. But I'm not going to pay somebody $20 million a year in free agency to do that. We could replace him if his demands stay that high. Or maybe he'll take a step forward and he'll be worth that. But that's kind of what we're looking at, though, long term. We'll have an option, a team option on Sandy Alcantara next year. We'll see how he bounces back after his elbow injury. But we'll look at building around some of these guys. We'll update you on if we sign Malloy. I think we'll probably have a parade in Detroit the day that we do it. That's what I'm thinking. Probably a parade to celebrate the long-term signing. But let's get into free agents a bit. I can show you who the top guys are. There's not like great free agents out there. It means like it's an okay class. Matt Chapman is the top free agent. He's a good player. He's not a superstar. We've also got Danny Jansen, who has put up two really good and then another decent season in this sim. Bo Bichette, tempting, but no thanks. I don't want to get into this type of contract. And that's why Gleber is a better option for us, because the contract is so much more reasonable. Very tempting to bring Bo back after the success that he had, and he is just 27, but I don't want to pay him that much money that long term when we've got other franchise players to lock up. Clayton Kershaw, thank you for your service. He's out there in free agency. There's one. Nick Senzel is like one of the halfway decent options at second base that's out there. He's been really good in this sim. Last year, 121 WRC plus in 2024, a 108 WRC plus in 2025. But I'm just not interested in. I think he's a fallback option if we don't acquire somebody else and his demands come down. But I'm not interested in signing a 30-year-old to a 4-year deal at this price when I think, I'd rather fall back on McKinstry if no trade comes together on a 1-year deal for like the $4 million than this, because I'm not convinced that he's that much better than McKinstry, other than McKinstry's terrible year last year. So let's jump into free agency here and see what we can do to build upon our momentum last year as a 102-win team. We are now mid-December. We're almost to the winter meetings. We've made some trades that I think you guys want to be updated on. Chapman is signed with the Mets, 4 years, 21.8 per year. Everything else is like small 2-year deals. But before we go too far, I just saw this. Strasburg was traded. Hold on. Strasburg has how much left on his deal? Oh, so he's 1 year left, and the Nats retain the entire salary. Goodness gracious, it's been bad. He's been hurt. Yeah, he's wrecked. So wait, why are the Phillies interested in him? They actually gave up like a guy who isn't terrible. International free agent. Okay, so Steven Strasburg was traded to the Phillies. That's fun. So let's look at the trades. I made a couple significant trades. I think it's fair to call them significant. So we'll start here. I realize you guys are probably looking up here at the spoilers. We'll get there. So start here. So Gunnar Henderson trade wasn't working. It wasn't going to happen, which we kind of already knew. I offered I actually took it off hard trade mode for a minute just to be like, all right, if I milk the system, we'll get them anywhere near Gunnar. I had Delander, Job, Pacheco, Torkelson, and somebody else in there, and they're still laughing at me. So I was like, okay, they're not trading Gunnar Henderson. I was like, but I'm going to get a consolation prize here. I'm going to get Jordan Westberg. So I did. I'm not sure that he really has too bright of a future as a major leaguer at this point. He's only had 42 at-bats and did rip it up. but he really has not had a ton of success in the minors, but he's good 40-man depth, infield 40-man depth. We can get him some outfield experience. Never mind, I didn't realize there's only a 40 range. And he's still got 2 option years left. So he'll be like AAA, middle infield depth. We gave up 2 arms that we weren't really going to be using anymore. Ty Madden was no longer on the 40-man. He spent some time in Detroit. He pitched 67 innings and 41 innings, but last year did not make it onto the Tigers and had just been kind of pushed down the depth chart and not really any longer on our radar as a prospect. So he's gone, as is Freddie Pacheco, who, oh, wow, they have in AAA. I'm surprised because this is a major league quality reliever that I just didn't have room for, but we get rid of 2 older relievers, get an older middle infield, I guess, prospect-ish guy. Really just I wanted a real-life Orioles prospect in my system, even if he is kind of past his prime. So then we made a significant trade with the Giants. We traded 2-time All-Star Zach McKinstry, so it was interesting shopping him. Some teams, and it has to do with the different AI biases, different AI preferences. Some teams are like, this is a dude coming off a season with a 66 WRC plus. Get out of here. Why would I be interested in acquiring this guy? While other teams are like, yo, this is a 2-time All-Star. He's only 1 season removed from back-to-back All-Star seasons where he put up 3.4 WAR each season. Like, yeah, we're going to get in and buy low on this guy if he's available. The Giants were one of those teams. They valued McKinstry. They also very much valued Jose Cosma. And I can see why, like, if you look at his scouting and OSA is even higher on him, you can see possibly a really good player here who could play second base. Could he play some outfield? No, I think he's pretty limited to second or first base. I don't know that I'd be playing him at shortstop. But he just hasn't done anything in the minor leagues yet. Like 2024, he didn't play a lot. He's got a real weird history here. And then 2025, I wasn't controlling his up and downs, obviously, promotions and demotions. But 2025, he spent a good amount of time in high A. This was as a 22-year-old and wasn't good. Good amount of time at double A and wasn't good. And this is with a really good walk percentage. And he still just was like a really below average hitter. So I was willing to move on from him, given the value we were getting back. I don't take trading him lightly. This is a guy, if he takes a step forward here, if he even steps into like his full potential without adding more potential, he could be a really good major league player. They also wanted Henry Montilla, and Henry is a pitcher who we didn't really see a good future for, even if he had been okay. Well, he didn't pitch in he did pitch in 2025 in high A, and he only pitched 23 innings and then 13 innings in regular A, single A. But, yeah, he was decent. But we got back some studs. Kyle Harrison. Look at this guy. So, so 2 things. Like, 1, Cosma and McKinstry were both very highly valued by the Giants. 2, in a lot of shop-a-player deals that I was sending out there because I was shopping around guys like Torque and McKinstry, Harrison and Nolan, who we're pronouncing like you might say New Orleans, Nolans, Jalen Nolan, maybe it's Nolan, but I'm going to say Nolan because that's more fun for me to say. Kyle Harrison is a lefty pitcher who, let's just go to his major league career. He's 24. Just in 2024, he led the NL in ERA and strikeouts per 9. He wasn't quite as good in 2025. Scouting-wise, there are probably some concerns here about home run balls and walks. But with this stuff and this pitch mix, like, he's going to be an immediate contender for our rotation. He also could be a really good stopper at the back end of the bullpen. He could be a Jalen Beeks replacement because Beeks is in the last year of his deal and is wanting an absurd raise and wanting to be a starter somewhere. So this adds a lot of options for us. But he's not the only gem we got back in this trade. Jalen Nolan has not had the major league success. He's pitched 38 innings and put up really good numbers, but he ended last year at Double A. For some reason, they had sent him back down to Double A and was roughed up in Double A. But this is another possibly really good pitcher. I don't love that they're both lefties, but they both have option years. I think Nolan could get pushed to AAA next year. I mean, he's never pitched in AAA, but he was good in the majors last year. We'll see. But I've added 2 really good lefty arms who, if nothing else, might be good trade bait for us at some point. And then came the doozy. The Spencer Torkelson era has ended in Detroit. He's gone to the Atlanta Braves, where he's going to play in a homer-friendly park and probably hit like 53 bombs this year. But, he was just never quite good enough in Detroit. And we have other guys pushing him out, and a 105 WRC plus is not going to, you can hold down jobs as a first base DH with that, but you're going to be a journeyman. You got to be a better bat than that if you're going to be on a contending team like the Detroit Tigers. And maybe he'll go on and find that success in Atlanta, but this is a big decision. As you guys know, I wanted to give Torque and Green a really long leash in Detroit because I wanted to try to build around them, because I find that more fun to build around players who the real team might build around. But it just never clicked for Torque in Detroit. And so Torkelson and minor league pitcher Jose Florian, who doesn't look like he has much of a future as a major leaguer, they were shipped to the Atlanta Braves for second baseman Ozzie Albies, who has a $7 million contract for this season and then a team option for $7 million next season. He's a switch hitter. And now, don't be thrown off by his WAR here, right? Because I was like, why is he a 108 but only 0.7 WAR? It was only 72 games, 76 games. It was like, what's going on with his injury history? Nothing. He was day-to-day for 2 to 3 months there. I wonder if they put him on the IL. Not a lot of injury history. So basically he had gotten pushed out by Vaughn Grisham and other dudes in the Atlanta system, and he was playing DH for them. Look at his fielding. I mean, he played 97 games in the field last year, so that's some. But then 2024, he played 16 games at second. 2023, he played 15 games at second. He was playing DH for them. He just seemed to be a spare part. But I think he's still, he's coming off a down year. He's probably in a similar position to Torque of they're basically look, this dude should be better than he is, and he's fine, but we're going to move on. So I think he was in a similar spot as Torque. We've now got him as our starting switch hitting second baseman. We're looking for a change of scenery type breakout year from Ozzie Albies. And I think Atlanta's looking for the same thing. This is a good change of scenery trade. Basically, it was Albies for Torque. Now, Torque does have one more year of team control left than Albies, even when you factor in the option year. So we asked for a better prospect, and we got a very fun name, Caleb Ketchup, who looks like, he's 23. He's going to be 24 next month. I don't really know what's going on here with why his ceiling, why he's still so far from his ceiling. I guess what I'm saying is I don't trust that he's ever going to achieve this, but we took a flyer on him. Last year, he played between A and high A and was not especially good. He put up negative 0.9 WAR. So we'll see what happens with him. I don't have a ton of high hopes for him, but he's maybe somebody who, if our coaches and our analytics department and R&D departments can make some tweaks with him, find some things for us, maybe we can have a player here. But the headline is Albies for Torkelson. We then also did complete the signing of Kevin Made. Complete the signing. It's a weird thing to say because I was looking at a trade and I was like, complete the trade? Nope, this is a signing. So he will make 7 years, $45.5 million. This $1 million was actually, this would be a league min deal normally. It would be another $720,000 season for him. So he's getting a little bit of a boost there. And then his arbitration years, he bought out at 3.5, 5.5, 7. And then we got 3 free agent years at 9.5 each. So this deal is not without risk to us, although he's probably it's probably a little similar to his new teammate Ozzie Albies in that he sold himself short with what he could have gotten. But deals like this happen for a player so raw. He's only played 140 some games at the major league level. I don't think that he's like a superstar bat, but he's secured a future for himself and his family, so congrats to him. Now, with all these trades, we had too many pitchers in our system, I think, and I wanted to change that. So I traded Brant Herter, who really was quite good for us at times. he put up 1.2 WAR in 76 innings in 2023, and he wasn't as good in 2024, and then was excellent in AAA, but just never got a shot. And with those lefty arms we got from San Francisco, there just wasn't room for Herter anymore to make some noise. So we traded him and Paulino, who we're not worried about giving up. And we got 25-year-old catcher David Garcia from the Mets. We really don't have the catching depth that I'd like to have in the minors. Like if Dingler gets hurt again, like we're kind of screwed. So this was to make amends for that. So we don't have to go out like sign Yan Gomes in the middle of the season. He's not a superstar, but Brant Herter was a depth piece. David Garcia is a depth piece. So in MLB, he's had 106 plate appearances and put up negative 1.0 WAR, 74 WRC plus. He's still young. Most importantly, he has 3 option years left. He's making the league minimum. So I think that's a good depth piece to bring in. I'm not sure if there's a lot of work left to do in the off season, but what I do want to do is take you through some of the prospects. I haven't done it too much of a deep dive on the prospects, and it won't be too deep of a dive. But we'll look at some of the prospects. I also want to show you some of the guys I drafted in the 2025 draft, since I don't believe I recorded any of that. So let's take a look at the drafts that I've completed. I'll show you the first few picks of the 2025 draft, since we didn't record that one. I picked 22nd overall, and let me just say I didn't love this draft. The players available to me: Michael Torres, who looks like a high school left-handed hitting corner outfielder, which doesn't check any box that I like to draft, but he was the best guy out there. This contact and avoid Ks. Looks like he could be possibly a really competent major league hitter. He's just 19. He can only really play left field and right field. So I didn't love a lot about this pick, but he was the best guy out there. And he did well as a 19-year-old in rookie ball. He was a league average hitter, and he walked in 20% of his plate appearances. My next pick in the second round, it was another high school hitter. You know how thrilled I was with all of this. This was Jaden Stroman, who hit really well in rookie ball, and he's just 18. Maybe he can go to the Florida State League next year to A-ball he'll be 18 at the start of the season. But infield range only 55 and the arm only 55, and the outfield range only 40. You're probably looking at just a second baseman here, but this bat, if this bat could play really well, like I said though, I really didn't love this draft. This was the draft by far that I felt the worst about of the 3 so far. But he was 57th overall. Let me see, who was this guy? I'm trying to remember. Oh, Matt Scott. Yeah, this was a decently developed college arm. He's 21. He made it all the way to high A. This was a guy who I think has a pretty high floor, but not a very high ceiling. But he's got the work ethic and intelligence, so maybe he can raise that ceiling yet. Jeffrey Hurd was another college hitter. He started in rookie ball, then he went to A, and then he went to high A. Is he on my short list? I can't remember. Yeah, he is. Okay. 4th round pick. So he's another corner outfielder. I don't think he can play he can't play the infield. Another left-handed hitting corner outfielder, but this power and a fly ball hitter, saw some potential there. 120th overall. So, I mean, you're going to get a player with a lot of flaws and a lot of he's kind of limited, 120th overall type of guy here. But especially in this draft, I'm sure some major league players will develop out of this. I just didn't love a lot of the draft. I'll show you these next 2 guys. Carson Turnquist here. He made it all the way to high A as well. He's 21. I think a guy who could progress right along and be a good AAA pitcher and maybe takes another step forward and goes further than that. Now this is probably my favorite pick right here. Boston Kellner. He's a 2-way player who is listed as a pitcher, but I think is actually a better hitter. But he ripped it up in rookie ball, as a 19-year-old, a 151 WRC plus, and then he also put up 1.4 WAR. He struck out 14.2 guys per 9. The walks are an issue, 8.7 guys per 9. But I think he can get an A-ball maybe as a hitter, but probably not as a pitcher. Let's see but it's also this is what is a little rookie ball. High school guys in rookie ball, when to promote them is just something I still just don't have a feel for. It's according to the ratings, he's not going to be that good there, but according to the stats, he was great. So, everybody would have a different opinion about what to do with him, and I don't think anybody's necessarily wrong. Let's check in on some of our guys from the previous draft classes. The 2023 draft class could be a killer one, dude. We've already got DeLander. We know all about him. Stud through and through. Did his stuff movement go down? Or his stuff go down? That seems lower to me. Oh, his potential 65. Did anything go down for him? Oh, his potential stuff rating in August went down from 65 to 60. Okay, got it. Overall rating dropped. Overall rating improved. Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, he sees him as a mid-rotation starter. I think he's obviously better than that. But George Lombard Jr., who we got with the supplemental round pick, he just hasn't really done much in rookie ball. Looking like a possible bust. I think I've just got to send him to A-ball next year and see what he does, but not looking great. Unfortunately, the Colton Hartman update is not the one that anybody wanted. I was quite excited to get Colton on the team, and it just hasn't really worked out yet. You can see, the potential was it 75, 80 overall. It's down to a 40 now. The power was a potential 75. It's down to a 60. The potential eye is down a little. The contact is down. And stats-wise, it hasn't been great. So his first year, he was terrible in rookie ball, so he repeated, and he was really good. So then the next year, I started him in A-ball, and he was just atrocious with the 70 WRC+. So I actually sent him back down, which I never like to do, and he murdered the ball. 230 WRC+. And then I actually think some of this was from A-ball. I think I promoted him back up. So I don't know, man. It's a bummer. I really want Colton Hartman to not strike out in nearly 36% of his plate appearances, but that's what he's doing, and I just don't think it's going to be there for him. But this was a great draft class. Here's one example. Wyatt Crowell. He's going to be in AAA next year. Very decent return on investment here for the 75th overall pick. Jack Hurley put up a 146 WRC plus in AA last year. He's going to be in AAA, pushing for a job in the majors soon if he puts up another season like that. Ty Pete, I don't think has done no. He's still kind of toiling away in rookie ball. Hasn't done a lot. I don't know that that's going to happen for him. And they're not using him as a two-way player, which is interesting. I might be interested in seeing him as a two-way since he doesn't really seem to be developing as a hitter. So some other Luke Leto or Leto. I'm going with Leto. He is now the 33rd overall prospect in baseball, the 173rd pick. We'll take that. He's probably going to make our team this year. Vanderhei has made some noises all the way up to AAA. If 203rd pick makes it to AAA, that's a win, and he could move up from there even. The 9th round pick, Carter Trice, had a solid season at AA, so he's going to be in AAA next year as a 23-year-old. Take that all day out of your 9th round pick. DeLandry has advanced to AA. He ripped up high A last year with a 140 WRC plus across 79 starts, and then he went to AA and struggled a bit. I think this avoid Ks is going to limit him. Obviously, he struck out in 47% of his plate appearances in AA. I'm not sure he's going to be a major league player, but 16th round pick putting up these kind of numbers, I think, is a win, and maybe he'll take a step forward yet. Let's see, 2024, Connor Griffin, I guess this is what I struggle with what to do with high school players because it's just, and I have development batter speed turned up to 1.1, but with this contact, I'm just not sure how he's going to do. I think he's going to get crushed in A-ball, but rookie ball for the third year in a row just feels so unrealistic. Jack Moss, the masher, this was this year's Colton Hartman. He's all the way up to AAA, and he didn't dominate AAA like he did other levels, so I think he'll start there again, but with torque out of the way, Castellanos in the last year of his deal, there's a future for a first base DH Jack Moss in Detroit, and I think that future's coming soon. Dickey had a decent year in AAA. He's got a future with us probably. Coons is a pitcher. He's just been hurt a lot. Or am I confusing him with another guy? Yeah. He missed 8 months with elbow surgery, and now he's out it was a 4-month injury with a ruptured tendon in his finger. So he's pitched well in rookie ball, struggled in A-ball, but really just has not been able to stay healthy. Victor pitched well in AA last year. He'll probably go to AAA as a 24-year-old next year. The prize of this class, I think, is pretty obviously Ryan Wentz, who is almost a top 100 prospect. and ready for the big time after putting up 3.5 WAR in AAA last year. So that's kind of some quick hits here. Quick hit / deep dive on the prospect, guys. Oh, this guy actually, catcher, who ratings-wise still shows some promise. Leader, work ethic, intelligence, but was just atrocious in AA last year. 39 WRC plus. So he's got to repeat that level. And the guy that we brought in from the Mets kind of pushes him down the depth chart, pushes back his arrival time maybe. This guy's name is familiar. I don't know why. All right, so that's an overview of the draft class. I think we're going to probably just end the episode here, and I'll catch you up on the rest of the offseason in the next episode, where I think we'll just be at opening day, because I don't really see a lot else happening for us. We had a pretty active offseason there. Real quickly, those trades just bam, bam, bam. We have a couple offers out, but they're very minor offers. Reese McGuire would come in and be our backup catcher. We offered him, what did we offer him again? 1 year, $1.8 million. He's a captain, very good defensive catcher. He's not going to do much with the bat, but we don't need him to. He's a left-handed bat, which is nice because Dingler is a righty. I think he's fine. He's fine. But the defensive ability and leadership is what's getting him on this team. And then a minor league contract to this dude. So thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoy this iteration of the Tigers that no longer have Spencer Torkelson, but do now have Ozzie Albies. We'll fill in all these backups, and we'll see you at 2026 opening day. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys next time.